You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma Podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are at Southern Hills today. Love driving up that. Just that driveway is magical, especially when the sun is rising. It's a beautiful day in Tulsa today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Cary Cozby to the podcast. Most people in Oklahoma, especially Oklahoma golf, know your last name. But we're going to dive into that a little bit more today and talk a little bit about kind of, your history, your family history, why you love golf, OU, everything about you and golf.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I'd agree with you. That drive up and getting to do that every morning is pretty special, especially for a kid from Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Especially I'm driving in kind of as the sun's rising, but at sunrise, I'm sure it's even better, right? Like any place, right? When the shadows are long, whether it's the sun rising or the sun setting out here is just sublime. I mean, it's really cool. Yeah. And in the golf business, you see both. Yes,
so
you do.
That's kind of the way it works.
That is one thing that people might not know about the golf business is that you rarely play golf.
You watch people play golf a lot. So yeah that's good.
So let's start way at the beginning. I mean, what's earliest golf memory for you, and who's that person that puts a golf club in your hand?
Well, I grew up in a golf family. As you kind of mentioned, my dad was the longtime PGA professional at Hillcrest in Bartlesville, another Perry Maxwell golf course, home of Frank Phillips. So really, Bartlesville, I didn't small town Oklahoma. There's obviously a lot of people that, hey, I want to get out of small town Oklahoma. I really had an unbelievable childhood. I have two brothers, both younger than me, and we're 3 and 6 years apart. So we were just rugrats running around the club, working and cleaning the range and cleaning carts and cleaning clubs and doing whatever our dad told us to do, but also getting to play golf and do all those things. And Bartlesville, the time that we were growing up, was really a golden era of that. It was oil, and Phillips was rolling, and City Services, which became all those companies that were there. It's just it was a really, as most people in Oklahoma know, Bartlesville has a really unique history compared to most towns of its size. So, but we had a dad. My dad's from West Texas. My mom's from Houston, kind of South Texas, and we grew up in around golf. My dad was an assistant professional at Oak Hills and in San Antonio, a really cool Tillinghast golf course, working for a legendary guy by the name of Hardy Loudermilk. And the hospital I was born in butted up to the practice range at Oak Hills. So my dad would meet my mom. He'd just walk across the parking lot there. So literally born into golf, right? So and then my middle brother was born in Bartlesville. My youngest brother was born here in Tulsa. But so golf has just been kind of, I don't even know my earliest memory of a a tournament or something like that was here. I was 8 years old for the 1977 U.S. Open. So walking onto this property at 8 and seeing Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, all the stars of that day really had a profound effect on me and my brothers. I think maybe my middle brother was with us. The youngest one wouldn't have been here, but just seeing something like that as my first professional event of any sport of any kind was right here where I drive in every day. So it's really it's crazy. It's almost surreal to do it on a daily basis. Where the West Side is now, we parked our car. We got out of the car and walked up onto the golf course, and I still have very distinct memories. And it's funny, smells and things like that. I had a cup with. That get Coke in that had had the logo. It had every U.S. Open champion at that point. And at one time, I had them pretty much memorized. I'm not any good anymore at it, but I'll probably get close. But it's the golf family for sure.
Yeah, and I guess because of that, you're so comfortable around golf, you're so in it all the time, it comes natural to you, and naturally because you're in it, you're like, well, maybe I should have a career in this. And as we know, there's many ways to take a career in golf. You bet. Like most people, you want to play, right? That's the one you want to do, is you want to play. And then I played golf in college. My brothers played golf in college, and we're all three in different parts of the industry, but we're all in golf. And so I'm in doing what our dad did, but my middle brother worked for Ping. He's a territory rep in Kansas City. My youngest brother used to work for Ping, and that's how they got him into the middle brother into Ping. He was doing something else and playing as well. And then he left recently, or not recently, probably 4 years now, to go be the executive director of the Thunderbirds, the guys that run the Phoenix Open. So we're all in different capacities of it. I think the one thing for me that helps me the most, and I think my brothers would say the same thing, is that I love to play. Even though, as we kind of talked a little bit about, you don't always get to play a lot doing what I do. I would play all day or practice all day or both if I had the opportunity to do it. I love it, and especially as you get older, you kind of, your ability and things like that are fleeting. So there's a time limit on it, and so I love to play, and I think that helps me on a daily basis, because you're part. Everybody out here is coming out to have fun and to play golf, and members it's a little respite from what their daily life is, and so if you love golf, and I think we learned this from our dad too, but if you love golf, we're automatically friends. That's a good way just to start. And I love to talk golf. I love to play. I love to watch. I like being around the game. I think it brings so many good things to the world. Yeah, I had this kind of same conversation with a friend on Monday. We were playing golf Monday and a charity day, and he's terrible at golf. He's my athletic director at my old university, but he's just there's so many parallels to life in golf. He loves question. Patience, because he's terrible, right? It's kind of his biggest one, but there's so many to that. And you mentioned your dad, and interested to know, obviously Hillcrest, they kind of unveiled a new facility kind of in honor of your dad, and just some of the stuff that's in there. It's incredible, right?
It's cool. It's really cool. I actually, go ahead. Answer.
No. I was going to say, interested to know, what are the biggest lessons you took from dad, and just kind of how that legacy sits, and how you have taken that Cozby name that you have, as something that is, super impactful, but also, how do you add on to that as well after that?
No, that's a great question, and I would not just say my dad, my mom. We're blessed with just great parents and great examples. And from the golf industry, golf business, things like that, I'll talk about my dad. But a lot of the things that you kind of attribute to your daily life, definitely mom was huge on that. And my dad had the ability, he was kind of saying, if you loved golf, he was in, and I know he had bad days. I just never saw them at work. And obviously everybody has days, ups and downs, things like that. But he treated everybody at a minimum great. And there's obviously people that he was friends with and my parents did things socially with that he would be, maybe even better. But every person who walked through the door got the best from him. And so I think it's so easy just to be nice to people. And it's not disingenuous. It's just kind of how we were raised to be. And I know my two brothers, Craig and Chance, are the same way. And I think that understanding of that people, they're here, they're members here. They spend a lot of their discretionary income to be a member here, and they have the same. They're dealing with the same things everybody else in the world's dealing with, right? Regardless of what they drive or where they live or anything like that. So I enjoy, just like my dad did, giving them a break when they come out here. So there shouldn't be any drama. There shouldn't be anything going on here other than just fun and enjoying the game. And obviously there's days where the golf is awful and everybody's mad and coming in and everything like that. But it's still better than maybe what they're dealing with outside the walls.
Yeah.
And we talk about as a staff, and hey, listen, we got to put whatever we're dealing with, we put that in your pocket when you come in. And if we need to hug each other, cry on each other's shoulder, we'll do that behind closed doors. But when that next person walks through the door, let's treat them awesome because they're dealing with the same thing. And it's not just our golf professionals we do that with. It's our outside service. It could be a 16-year-old kid that dad made him get a job to pay for his gas in his car or whatever it is, right? But we talked about how important that is. So when you come out here, you're going to get treated the best. And it doesn't mean just our membership. It means if the members are having guests out, if you drive out here just to meet me, we want the service at the guardhouse and everywhere else to be just the same. And so I enjoy that. And I know for a fact I learned that. I wasn't trying to do what my dad did when I was coming through the ranks and getting out of school and all that. But it's just part of who we are. And it's just, the golden rule, and that was mom. And I tell my son every day when I drop him off for school, hey, golden rule. And so I think just treating people nice is probably the key. I don't know if I forgot maybe the question. I got off on a tangent on that, but that's a huge part of what we do, and it's probably my favorite part of what we do is just having people feel like they can just relax and have fun and talk golf. Let's fix your swing. Let's whatever it is, but let's just come out here and have some fun for the time you're out here.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I can 100% say I was treated amazing coming in here with everybody, and it's rare to see, right? Usually, you might get it with a guard because he sees people every day and he greets people for a living, but sometimes you might not see it with the staff, right? Or someone who's having a bad day. But no, I mean, even the guys hanging the Christmas lights or Halloween lights around us right now, saying hello, good morning, and they're not even they're not part of the club, right? Let's talk about playing. So you're working around dad. Your life is golf. You see and you're watching TV and you see all these professionals. And you're like, man, that seems like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about that.
Well, you come out here for 77 U.S. Open and you play golf and there's always games around the club you grow up and so just playing and competing and for whatever reason I enjoyed competition, and I played football, basketball, and baseball into high school as well as golf. So I actually wasn't traveling around playing junior tournaments, even though our dad was in that industry. I played a lot of baseball. I almost played more baseball in the summers until I was about 15 than I did golf. I played a few tournaments. My first tournament just kind of was by happen chance when I was 10. At State Junior at Seminole, Jimmy Austin, the original Jimmy Austin course in Seminole, and but I just loved all sports. And I liked the competition. I liked being inside that arena. And then somehow the golf bug just kind of got a little deeper with me, and I thought, I want to go. And I started learning about college golf, and I said, I want to go do that. So my dad never ever pushed us in any direction, even in golf. Told us to practice, anything like that, ever. Except when I told him I wasn't playing football. Here's a guy from West Texas, and I would have been the starting quarterback, when I was maybe a junior or something like that. And he's like, you're doing what? I said, well, I think I'm not going to play football. He's like, Are you kidding me? And so, here's a West Texas guy, very competitive guy that loved that. And so I said, I thought you might be a little happier that I was going to play golf. And he's like, well, yeah, no, I'm happy. That's good. And so he goes, what are you going to do? I said, hey, I'm just going to start grinding and try to catch up, because I know there's, the AJGA was just kind of getting off the ground at that point. And so you're just kind of playing the junior tournaments around here and state AMs and stuff like that. So he started putting me into amateur events when I was 16, just so I could kind of get beat up and get my nose bloodied a little bit and see what those guys do different. And that's kind of how I got going on the playing side of things. I went to OU. I didn't grow up an OU fan. My parents were Texas fans, believe it or not, especially OU Texas Week. And but I was fortunate enough to get some cool recruiting trips and get by some neat schools. And I kind of had took Texas as my last trip, and I didn't have it. I had just kind of a recruiting trip. It wasn't anything special, and actually some guys on the team said it's kind of poo-pooed the whole team culture there. And I'd had a great time the week prior or a couple weeks prior in going to an OU football game. I'd never been to an OU football game in person. I saw Billy Sims play. My dad took me that first college game when they played at Oklahoma State. He ran for 500 yards, and it was like 60-something to nothing. And you're like, that's pretty, because I didn't have a dog in the fight either way. But you kind of growing up, you're under Barry Switzer era, and all your buddies are OU fans, and I went on a recruiting trip there, and I was like, I'm an OU fan. I didn't know it, and I could just feel it. I was on a recruiting trip to Florida, and they made a mention about it scored around the country, and I was like, I'm definitely an OU fan. So so I ended up going to OU and loved it. Had a blast. We had a great team all the years I was there, and then my brothers followed suit, and Craig came and played, and we got to play 2 years together. Then Chance came, and they got to play a couple of years together, and there was one of us on the team for 12 years, and which is really cool. So Greg Grost, our coach, we give him a hard time. Like, as soon as there wasn't a Cosby, he just retired. So I would call myself an underachiever in college from what I thought I could have done or should have done, and then tried to play for a couple of years, and I was looking for just a winter job. And I called Hugh Edgman at the time. It was running the Oak Tree Properties. And he said, hey, you can do whatever you want. We also have an assistant's job that's open. And I talked to Brent Goodger, the head pro at the time. And next thing you know, you're going down that path. And really I just kind of keeping options open. But I wasn't playing very well. And got in. And I said, I like this. And it obviously it was a comfortable fit. Just growing up. The assistant pros for my dad were like big brothers to me anyway, just because I didn't have an older brother. So it was an easy, I shouldn't say easy, but it was a comfortable route for me. And then Dave, I knew Dave because he was at Enid, and he was at Oakwood there, which is an awesome place, such a cool place. Yeah. And Tim Mendenhall is retiring, I think, at the end of this year, and just an incredible golf professional. Really, really cool place, really cool guy. And he moved to Tulsa Country Club. So playing junior tournaments, I'd met Dave a few times, and then he called my dad and said, hey, would he have any interest in coming over here? And he's like, I don't know. You got to call him. So Dave called and came over and interviewed, and the rest is history. Worked for Dave for 5 years, and then went to a really cool place, Wichita Country Club, old school, 1900, and just incredible membership, incredible time there. I could have stayed there for the rest of my career. It was that cool of a place, and they took such great care of us. And then when Dave retired, I had the opportunity to come back here, and obviously thrilled to be here. It's my 9th season, so it flies by. It's really fast.
It goes by fast.
As you get older, it gets really fast, right? So
I mean, so much has happened in that 9th season here. But before we get to that, dive into college a little bit. Tell me a little bit about kind of playing for OU, and obviously how different that is now for the kids that are playing for OU now, and just kind of what that was like, and the college life of being a college golfer back then in the Barry Switzer era.
Yeah. Well, that was fun, and my recruiting trip that was Bosworth's last home game, so it was just crazy. They beat Missouri 77-0, and I love the attitude of the school. Like you just like they fit the way I thought, and I've always kind of liked. I've appreciated like the New York Yankees or the best programs in different sports and different levels, because you always get everybody's best shot, right? It's easier to be the hunter than it is to be the hunted, and so I appreciate any sport. That's cool because they take everybody's best shot, and I like the fact that OU at that time, of course, and still now, they get everybody's best shot in football. And but our golf team. Greg had just, I was part of Greg's first recruiting class, and David Yates before. They'd really been good. They finished in the top 4 or 5 years in a row. Greg came in. My first year, we finished second behind UCLA, tied with, I think, OSU and maybe UTEP. And then we won it at Oak Tree when OU and OSU co-hosted the event at Oak Tree in '89. And I think fifth the next year, and maybe everywhere inside the top 12, I think, is where we finished. And so it was fun. It was different than high school. You go from being one of the better players to like everybody's good. Yeah. And then you learn how to practice, you learn how to compete a little bit better, and it's just more, it's like anything, just taking the next step up. So and at the time, there's so many good players now that it's deeper, there's more technology, there's more going on for college golfers today than there was back then. And we were, Coach Holder at OSU was one of the first to have him working out. Like it was almost taboo to work out in golf back then. And then all of a sudden everybody started doing it. Like, okay, they hit the ball farther, they're in better shape, they can handle the tournaments better, and it's all those little things. Like, a Snickers and a Coke is at the turn is what you did. I'm really dating myself, but nobody had power bars, nobody had hydration powders, any of the stuff that they're doing now, and there certainly wasn't any kind of like recovery type stuff going on. All those things are better, right? It's like every sport, but it was a blast, and being from Oklahoma, I was one of the few guys on the team from Oklahoma. There's only, I think, maybe 2 of us. So socially, it was fun for me because all of my buddies I grew up with would give you access to go do the things that were fun away from golf and away from school. And I think some of the teammates, especially some of the foreign guys, just they didn't have access to that. So I was trying to drag those guys, along to get there, and or just that experience with that part of school life. So it was a super fun time, and it's cool to see where school and campus in Norman is going now. And I think obviously the change they're making next year with the conference will elevate that. Basically, what I've talked to some folks that have watched their towns change since ESPN and SEC kind of partnered up 15 years ago, and I'm excited for Norman to see that as well because it's a very cool college town. It's a neat place.
It's going to be great, right? Yeah. And like you said, it's not just the school that's going to benefit. It's the businesses around the town, and it's
for sure.
Yeah, the infrastructure I think needs some work from what I've heard, but they want to do it.
Yeah. I think everybody's on board with that.
Everyone's on board. So it's going to be. I mean. Yeah, I already have friends down at LSU. Like, you're coming down for that game, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really an OU fan, but I'll come down and wear purple.
Yeah. I'd wear purple. I was down when OU played them in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah. They're like, I'll probably pass when they go to the Baton Rouge. I'll go to the other towns, but I'm not going to go down there and be subjected to that. So it was pretty bad. But no, I think it's going to be good. And like I said, I talked to some friends of mine that Alabama and Oxford and things like that, and they said just what's happened in the last 15 years with the money and all that changed all those cities, and I know that's coming for Norman as well. Yeah.
So after graduating, like most college golfers, you think about giving professional golf a go. Right. What's the state of professional golf at that time? Like, it's not easy, right?
No,
it's no direct ladder.
Right now there's kind of set. Yeah. There's a pathway that is clearly defined, and it was Q school, and that could get you right onto the BJ Tour, but there wasn't like a backup, like you go play Corn Ferry, but back then it'd be the Hogan Tour, then the Nike Tour. And it's really, you put professional golf. Asia was a big one. You go play the Asian Tour. There's satellite tours around. They had like the Texas Tour. There was a Adams Tight Lies. You had the Hooters Tour. You had Gold Coast down in Florida. State Opens were huge back then, and they had better purses than they do now. So playing State Opens, it's just you're kind of piecemeal and everything, and just kind of to get ready for Q school.
Yeah.
Now it's like, they've got all these feeder tours going into it, which is great. And it's easier to see. It doesn't mean it's not easier. It's just, where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So whether it's PGA Tour Latino or the China Tour or somewhere, I'll go to Europe and play over there on the satellite tours over there, which I think would be great from just a skill standpoint to play on different conditions and travel and get used to doing all that versus just the States. I think part of the reason that college programs in our state and players from this area in North Texas, they're accustomed to different weather and 4 different seasons, and getting a little bit off subject, but like dormant Bermuda and wind, and I watch juniors. I've got a son that's playing, but I watch our juniors, and I watch they're more adaptive because they're sharp and they don't even know what they're doing, right? They're hitting chip shots off cruddy old dormant common Bermuda, and if you can hit off that, you can hit off anything.
It's normal
to them, right? So they don't think any of them. They grab a wedge and just hit it up there next to the hole. And so the state of professional golf back then was obviously like most things. It just hadn't been developed like it is now. So it was really just check to check, and you need to get some sponsors from your hometown that would kind of sell some fractions and give you enough money to get through it. And but it's fun. I mean, you learn a lot, and you learn a lot about yourself, and you're traveling, and you're doing those things, and the ups and downs, and no real, it weren't cell phones, weren't any of those things that you could cry and talk to dad or mom or whatever. Or you just got in the car and with a big huge Coke and a bag of seeds or whatever it is to get you to the next one, and so it was just different, and not worse, not better, but just it was just different, and some things were probably better, definitely a lot of things worse, but
I don't know about. I mean, sometimes I look at the fashion of back then and think it needs to come back. I think golf fashion has gone down the bad hole at the moment. And it needs to come back.
The tour pros are horrific.
It's bad.
Dressers.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I wear that's the most just dull white shade of khaki or stone and just go play golf? Like, it's just like, it's just I don't get it. And there's a lot of good companies out there that they could jump on board with and actually look nice, but they and a lot of the bigger brands I'm not going to mention, but their stuff's trash. So it's just, it doesn't look good on them, and it doesn't wear well, and we don't even bother selling it. But it's it is horrific. So there's definitely more flash and more color and more character back then. That's for sure. Yeah.
Do you follow the Golfer's Journal?
I do.
Okay,
yeah,
so you've seen, I think one of the recent covers was Keith Mitchell, and they dubbed him Cashmere
Keith. I love that guy.
He's bringing it back.
It's good. Yeah, he gets it. And he we've got a good buddy of mine here at the club that he goes visor, and he rarely has the button on the shirt done, and they kind of looked a little bit alike. So when he was here for the PGA, I snuck a picture when he's hitting balls down, and he had the sweet classics on, FitJoy classics, and shirt unbuttoned, it's kind of to the mid chest, and a tour visor on, and I was like, so it's Cashmere Keith. I love it. Yeah, he's really cool. Look. Yeah, it is a good look. Yeah, he just needs a cigarette. If he's ripping the heater as he'd walk down the fairway, it'd be about perfect for 1978 or so.
Yeah, take him back in time. It's, and that publication is fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good.
Just for coffee table book and great reading and photography and. It's Golfer's Journal. People listening, if you're a golfer, go check that out. Yeah,
it's that one in Kingdom. Have you ever read the Kingdom?
No, not yet.
I think it's just called Kingdom. It's a golf. It's exceptional. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's different. It's not as much on like architecture, like Golfer Journals digs deep in that, but the Kingdom magazine regarding golf, and it's I think the first one maybe had Palmer on it, so there may be some tie to the King, but the Kingdom magazine is a cover to cover read for me.
Okay.
Every time.
Making notes of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about coming here then. So you came here first.
Right.
As an assistant, and then you go to Wichita, and then you come back here.
Right.
Like you said, Wichita you could have stayed there forever, so it must have been a pretty epic offer to come back here and come home as well. And growing up in Oklahoma, Perry Maxwell,
golf course at Hillcrest and Enid and all these places. And then Southern Hills is, it's the pinnacle. Right?
Yeah, no, it is. And that's, when I left here as an assistant, this is where I want to come back, right? Like how we're treated by the members as staff is really, really special. And obviously they have great respect for what the staff does, and which is super nice. That doesn't happen everywhere, I know. And obviously that a lot of that has to be earned, and the people that have worked here for the past 85 years and all that, they've probably earned that with the membership by doing our job to the best of our ability. And so when I left here as an assistant, I was excited to go be the head professional, of course, at Wichita CC. But if you said, hey, you could go anywhere you want, it'd be Southern Hills. And really the only other club that I think I would have ever left was I love Cherry Hills in Denver. I think it's Southern Hills' sister club. There's very similar, just like set up on the clubhouse on the hill, overlooking town. Great golf history, and similar to Southern Hills. My dad we went on a family trip to like Vail, Beaver Creek area when I was 16, and we played right before the '85 PGA, and. So those two places in my mind were real, and I have zero interest in living on the East Coast. I don't have any interest in living east of like Tulsa. So I don't mind visiting those places, but I've always been a Tulsa West and South person for whatever reason. And but I like this part of the country. Like I like to visit. I like to go to like Dodger games, and I love all that. But Tulsa and Oklahoma and Texas are that's my sweet spot. I like the people here, and I like what the values are and represent. But I really didn't have. I wasn't wide open. Hey, I'll move to L.A. or San Francisco or New York or Florida, whatever. I had zero interest of doing that. So you kind of put, I wouldn't say I put all the eggs in one basket, but I wanted to, I didn't know if I'd ever have the opportunity, but I was thankful that I did. And as you said, to come home, to pick up the papers and read about OU. My wife's from Oklahoma State grad, so you pick up the page. It's just, and one of the things I certainly appreciate now more than I did at the time was I'm 45 minutes from Bartlesville. So my parents, I saw them like all of a sudden I just saw them way more often. It could be just they came down for dinner and came by the house to say hi. But that never happened in Wichita because it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it wasn't an easy way to get there. So you kind of had to plan when you're doing one way or the other. And with our, losing our dad a few years ago, to get that time to be around him and have my son spend time around my dad was really special to me. I know it's special for my dad. I think it's special for Banks as well, because he was an old school golf professional, and he loved watching Banks play in any sport, but he really loved, of course, watching him play golf. And so that is one of the really cool things that happened by coming back here. But just to come back here and be the pro here is man, it's beyond special. Like I talk to our guys about our crew about you're interviewing every day, right? And so you guys, you never know who the next person is going to come in that's looking for a head professional at their home club, wherever it is, and who our membership knows who's got somebody. Hey, and so what we do on a daily, it has to be like, you can't just be like, okay, this day's good, but this day's bad. It has to be like on every single person you come in contact with. And again, it's not disingenuous. It's just that mindset of you're interviewing every day. And what I tell them when we're talking about that is, I'm still doing that, right? I'm interviewing every day so that I can keep this job, right? It's no like feet on the desk and oh, good, I made Southern Hills, I'm just going to cruise now. It's like I want them, when I do get to that age, it's like no. Why don't you stay another year pro and help us find I want to sprint through the finish line. And I've got a small group of pros that we're all about the same age that all have jobs that we love to be at and we're thankful to be at, that we're holding each other accountable to do that. And how do we keep reinventing ourselves and staying relevant. And obviously that starts with hiring good people and letting them do their job and pushing them out front and letting them, giving them the exposure versus ourselves. And but yeah, it's an unbelievable place. I'm a Dodger fan, but I've used the term, it's a Yankee job. It's the Yankee Stadium to me. And to drive in here every day is really, really cool. And also just being a golf junkie, knowing what Southern Hills means around the world. Because it's easy, I think, if you just come here every day, it's just the club, right? Yeah. But when you realize what it is, not just in the United States, but around the world, the brand has significant impact in the golf community. So I don't take that lightly as well.
Yeah, you gotta, it's valuable, isn't it, to have that awareness, right? Because I'm sure there's places all over people all over the world that are in your position in other clubs that just got complacent. They're like, hey, I'm doing a great job. Yeah. I can do anything I want around here. The golf course is great, you said, incrementally, the days kind of slide by, and you get a little worse at your job every day, or a little bit more complacent, and then one day you get a knock on the door, and you're like, "Hey, we got something to replace you.
You're out here, dude."
Why? I didn't do anything.
That's right.
Like, That's why.
That's exactly why. Yeah. So you don't want. I don't want to be one of those guys that retires, and I don't tell them for 5 years. So it's one of those. I've seen that happen. It's not just in golf, but in every business. But I plan on sprinting through the finish line to where they go, okay, that was a great run, and we're thankful for your service. And I do. I've just learned this about myself. Helping people have fun. And have that awareness that they're all you and I've been on the planet long enough to know that everybody is dealing with the same pile of junk, right? Yeah. And it comes in different forms and things like that. And at some point, we're going to deal with every one of those forms. And but I've learned this about me that helping people have fun. It is good. It helps me, right? And so it's the best way to forget about anything you've got going on is to take care of somebody else. And I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it's the truth. And I don't ever go home thinking, that was bad. I just think people had fun today and it was good. And there's times where we mess up or there's something that bad had happened, but the perspective, okay, what's the path forward here, and fix it, and it's always an opportunity to show your value to the club and what it means when we do have something that slips up, whether it's whoever's to blame, right? Or whatever it is, how small or how big it is. But I just love taking care of the people that come out here, and I hope that's felt when they come out here, that hey, we're all here to have a good time, and don't take ourselves too seriously. And our crew laughs at it because I say it all the time, but like, we're not curing cancer, right? We're not splitting atoms. We're not saving lives. So let's be really good at what we do, but let's also do it with some perspective that have some fun, right? Yeah, don't be so tight. Let's go. Let's uphold the traditions of the club and the game and our membership, but let's make it a place that they want to come to and they look forward to coming to. And that starts from the moment they hit the gate until they leave. And the same thing for kids. Like, if you came down here after school to this building where we're sitting, this is like a playground here, right? And we want that culture for those kids. We want them to love the game. There's so many things outside the southeast gates that are for kids. It's a tougher deal than when you and I are growing up, especially for me. But we want them to have great memories of not just the club, but also the game, to where no matter what they do when they move on and get out of school and start their career, that the game of golf means something to them. And that's how I think the PGA professional best grows the game, is right there at their home facility. It's not programs and doing all these things. Those things have a place, but the best way I can impact the game of golf is just doing a great job here for our membership, their families, and everybody who comes on property. That's kind of the goal, and that's what gets me up out of bed every day, is to go deliver that. Yeah.
No, you're right. And I look back at my kind of childhood on the golf course, and I I joined my local club for my 8th birthday.
Yeah.
You couldn't join until you were 8, so I joined for my 8th birthday.
That's awesome.
And I still, to this day, I have a group text on my phone, and there's 15 to 20 of us in it, and I'm the youngest in the group text, and that's my guys. We've chipped and played golf. You know, my parents dropped me off at 9 a.m, picked me up at 9 at night. Like, here's £5 for the day. You know, and then
awesome.
and if it rained, we used to have this. I think it was like the guy behind the bar or someone taught us this. When it rained, you got like 20 kids inside. Not a big clubhouse. And in the summer, we had kind of like this kind of like tent outside for like bigger events, weddings, whatever. So when it rained, they used to put us in that tent.
Get you guys out of here.
Get you guys out there. And they put a beer mat at the end. And they would put £20, which to a 10-year-old was just like $1 million bucks, right? They put £20 down, and they said anybody who can stop a golf ball on this from 30 feet gets the 20.
That's incredible.
I mean,
you do it all day long.
You're there all day. Right? It's hammering down with rain.
Necessity is the mother of all invention. That pro got you guys out of the shop by doing that.
They knew exactly.
So pounds. I thought you had like kind of a Shoto accent. So it's not.
No, it's from the UK.
No,
Wales.
I'm kidding.
I know. Wales and UK. The only good thing about Wales is two good things. It hosted the Ryder Cup in 2010. Terrible golf course. It went to a Monday because it rained so much.
Oh, that's right.
It was that one. And then Royal Porthcawl hosts the Senior Open every now and then.
Yeah.
So
they had it last year.
They had terrible weather this year.
Terrible weather. Yeah, I watched it on TV.
But yeah, so those are like the two golfing things to come out of Wales, other than Ian Woosnam, who's the only Welsh person to win a major.
Okay. Well, no, I was kidding you on the accent, but those are. We all have those memories, right? That in golf, like, and we want to create those for those kids here, like that they have a blast. I mean, we had a sliding door that closed the shop from the rest of the clubhouse, and we'd sit in there in the winter and try to see who could stop it on the rail, right? And we had an assistant at the time named Don Farquhar. He became a great head professional up in Wichita, Kansas, at one of the clubs out there. And he hustled all of us that worked in the rack. We call it the rack room there. A lot of people call it the bag room, but he would hustle us out of our money all the time. He'd come up with a shot, and it'd be cold, and it'd be like from 10T over the clubhouse when nobody's around, obviously, to the putting green, any hole. And we're like, there's no chance you can do that. And he would just, we're like, how did he do this to us? And so I'm going to meet my closest friend. I grew up with in Bartlesville this weekend for the Texas game. And we'll talk about Farquhar and how he hustled us this weekend, right? 45 years later. So it's...
You have those great memories.
It's awesome.
For us, we used to have putting contests, and you'd have like 10 holes, but you'd have 10, you have to make them all in a row, right? First one to get to the end. Yeah. And, you'd have 20 guys on a putting green, and just like, you get 3 in, miss one, you have to go back to the start. And, we'd go on ball hunts. We'd go out looking for golf balls. But we'd have to pull names out of a hat on who would get first pick. Right?
That's
the 20 guys are like, I get to pick first. And it's like,
that's too good.
Searching for
every day there was a putting contest, and it was the U.S. Open or the British or the Masters, the PGA, and you're okay, and you try to beat that guy for win all 4, win the Grand Slam. Yeah. It's just
such a good sport.
Great sport for that. Yeah. Great sport for that.
Bringing it back on property, what is your favorite place on property to just sit in silence and take? Man, I mean, is there a spot that you just think, you know what?
I don't sit in silence very often out here. I'm usually we spend a lot of time just kind of check and play, make sure things are moving in the right way. It's a busy, as you know, we do a lot of rounds, so it's pace of plays is an important piece of what we do. And man, standing on that first tee though, just doesn't get any better than going out there, and a member may have 3 guests coming in, and a lot of our guests are from all over the country and elsewhere too, but most of them coming in from outside the country, and to go welcome them and have a conversation wherever they're from, and stand on that first tee overlooking the city and overlooking the property, it's pretty special there. And there's some cool places on the golf course that you see, and driving it backwards also is kind of an interesting approach too. Just kind of, you see different angles that a lot of people don't. Probably on course, probably my favorite view. If you're walking, this would be going in the right order. But if you're walking off the 12th tee, there's a little window between trees that you look right up the 10th hole. So you see the back of 10 green, which is a menacing green. but you look up that fairway and you see all the movement there up into the clubhouse and see the flag, the U.S. flag and the Oklahoma flag and the Southern Hills flag flying up there. And it gives you some pretty good scale of the property. It's probably my favorite place when I'm playing is I always take a little time just to kind of look, even if I'm talking to somebody as we walk down the fairway, just kind of just take a snapshot of that. But probably one tee, but probably it's pretty cool opening tee ball. Gil Hance, when he came in to talk to us about doing the project, he sat down with a big group of us, and they said, "Hey, what do you see?" And he goes, and one of the things he started with is he goes, "You have one of, if not the best, opening tee shots in the game," and so he just really was a cool. I'm a daily reminder is seeing a member of 3 guests out there taking a picture. Yeah, that you're at a cool place, and you're like, and I point that out to the young guys, and we're working a lot of hours, and it's late summer, and you're pretty cooked, and you're ready for daylight savings time to end and all that, and I say, hey, this is what. Just a reminder that we're at a really, really cool place.
Yeah,
and
that's why.
When you see, their caddy taking a picture, or you see somebody come off 18 green, and the other place they take is 18 fairway, looking up the green to the clubhouse. But that one on number 1 with the city in the background, you think of somebody's gallery wall at their house or their office 20 years from now, that picture's going to be on there. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. You're right, and the sad thing now is people don't print their pictures very often. Yeah,
they just have them on their phone, and
looking at the ones behind you, they're all worthy of being printed. Yeah.
So
you talk about that first tee, and I mean, you've probably told the story a million times, but I mean, what happens when Tiger calls and says, "I'm coming to town," and he says, "I need a caddy"? Sorry, I'm taking this one.
Yeah. I'm just full disclosure. I've been a massive fan of his since 2 things happened. I Coach Holder at OSU. I worked at OSU golf camps, believe it or not, as an OU guy. But his dad and my granddad were best buddies in the West Texas oil fields, and we didn't know that at the time. We found that out later. And I asked him a question. This is probably 92 or 3. Is he as good as everybody says? He goes, he's the best I've ever seen, and it's not even close. And Coach Holder's not much on hyperbole, right? He's like,
he doesn't say good things.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I was like, there's no chance. And then my middle brother Craig and Alan Bratton, now the coach at OSU, I think this is right. They played with Tiger in Tiger's first collegiate round in New Mexico. And Craig called me collect, which I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I finished the first day of the Tucker," which was the name of this tournament. I was like, "Why are you calling me?" He's like, "I played with Tiger today." And I go, is he as good as everybody says? And he goes, "No, he's way blanking better." And I go, "Really?" He's like, "You can't believe how good this guy is." Yeah. So I automatically became, okay, I'm intrigued by this guy. And then he burst on the scene and, in such a huge way. And everybody's taking shots. And getting back to that kind of like hunted mentality, he immediately was the hunted. Yeah. Even though he had the hunter mentality, but everybody was trying to knock him off his perch, whether it's media or players or whatever. And to see that. So fast forward, and I got a call from David Charles at the PGA, Bob Charles' son, who's one of the higher ups with the PGA. And he said, "Hey," and it was a month or 2 out. We were closed, and it's just the phone's ringing every day. But hey, what can I do, right? I said, "What do you see?" And he said, "Hey, I need you to run point on something." I said, "Yeah, what do you got?" And he's like, "Big Cat's coming to town." I go, "Cat's coming to Tulsa?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Wants to play a practice round. Is that okay?" I said, "Are you asking me if it's okay if Tiger Woods plays a practice round?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, are you kidding? He can play right now if he's here." And I go, "What do you need me to do?" And he goes, "I'm going to connect you to Rob McNamara, who's kind of his right-hand guy, kind of his handler, and very close friends. And you can see that. And trusted friend. He actually trusts him with his golf swing. These guys are tight. So I'm going to connect you guys via text. I think they just need a couple caddies and keep it under wraps. And I need you to just not." He goes, "Brian Carnes, who was the guy from the PGA that was on site, he knows, and nobody else needs to know." And I said, "Well, I got to call Nick, our GM." He goes, "Yeah, call Nick, but the 3 of you guys have to just keep this." I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell Banks. But I called Rob and I said, "Hey," he goes, "just a couple caddies." I said, "You need help like through the back gate?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Once we're in the air, his tail number. They'll track it, then they'll know what he's doing. So
that Twitter account caught it straight away, didn't it?
I mean, there was somebody like the day before. My phone started blowing up the day before. Like, is he coming? It's like, hey, I don't know. And so I said, hey, if it's kind of self-serving, but I said, I don't mind. I'll caddy for him, and I've got a son who loves golf that could caddy for you. He goes, that'd be awesome. And I said, that way, by the way, nobody else is going to know. On top of it, he goes, he'd love to hear the changes in the golf course from you. And I was like, yeah, right. What am I going to tell this guy? And so, yeah. And so I did tell my wife the night before, and she was pissed. And it's like, I can't believe you didn't tell me. And trust. I was like, and then she didn't sleep at all that night. She's like, I'm glad you didn't tell me, because I wouldn't have been slept for a week. And so the PGA Junior League Team Oklahoma was here filming a promo with Cameron Young, PGA professional son, obviously a star. And they didn't. Even the people from the PGA didn't know. Like, nobody from the PGA knew that he was coming on property. And so they took a little break in the shooting of what the promo was for the PGA Junior League. And Team Oklahoma the year before had finished third. They won the stroke play piece, and they were really. It was a fun, cool experience. So these guys. I knew all the kids as an assistant coach, and we were down here, and I pulled Banks in the office and said, hey, told him what was going on. I said, have you seen your phone? He goes, no. And I told him, and he's like, am I going to get to meet him? I said, oh yeah, you're going to meet him. I said, you're going to watch him for 4 hours. I said, I'm caddying for him, you're caddying for Rob. And he fell on the ground and like put his hands over his face. And I said, hey, I don't know the conversation. I said, if he says he may talk to us all day, he may not say 2 words to us all day, but we get to watch the best who's ever done it up close, and let's learn from him. No phones, put your phone in your pocket, and let's just enjoy the day and what it is. And of course, he talked and he remembered every shot from 07. He remembered things had changed. He asked opinions. I mean, I was like, I think you want to hit it over here. He's like, yeah, definitely want to get down here. And he's like making notes, and it was really fascinating. He's a Dodger fan. He told me that he was in the stands when Kirk Gibson hit the famous home run in '88, and had nachos and beer poured all over him. He was 10 or 13 or something like that, or 12 or 13 years old, and so and he was incredible to Banks. Like I did take one picture of, and the picture. That one where Banks is walking right next to me. I threw a water bottle away and I looked up and I was like, yeah, I'm taking a picture of that. Yeah, the cat with my kid. And it was a surreal day. I mean, it was so fun to watch him go about his business, and his leg, just seeing it, it's like, golly, up close. He would, if he could just teleport shot, he'd win again. Yeah. Like it's so good. And other players that came in that knew that I'd caddy for him, they're like, how do you hit it? And I said, well, it's incredible. You played with it? No, I've never played with it. I've just heard it's incredible. So you got these elite guys coming to play in the PGA Championship. They're like, that's what they all think of it. Like, this guy hits it on the button, and he hit it through all these different windows. Never looked like he changed anything in his setup. Our greens had just been top dressed, so they were sandy, which I didn't get a chance to watch him. But taking the putter cover off that putter, you talk about being nervous. His CFO was just walking around, and he goes, how much do you think that putter's worth under your arm? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm scared to death that I have it right here.
Don't tell me.
And he said that there was like the time there's a set of irons had been sold for like $5 million or something like that. He said they're really not Tigers, and he said he's got some stuff out there that has been sold. But I said, I don't know one thing. This thing right here. I mean, just looking at it, I didn't take a picture of it. I didn't want to break their trust, but it was unbelievable. And it's just got an old crappy putter cover on it the Velcro's almost torn away, everything else. I'm thinking, and it's nicked up and dinged up, and I couldn't help thinking of my dad, because he's like, hey, if you see somebody with a new putter, go ahead and putt him, putting contest. But if you see somebody with a banged up putter, yeah, and this thing is just destroyed. I mean, there's nicks and it's beat up everywhere. He's the same shaft, like this, the steel's coming off. It's like a little rusty part on the shaft. It's just awesome. And on one quick story on that is on 17. He's pretty colorful with his language. Mm-hmm. On 17, I had got the whole locations from the senior PGA the year before, And his CFO and I put tees down where the 4 hole locations were, just so they could putt to him. And we're over on the right side of 17. I'm talking to Chris, and Banks is over just watching Tiger putt, and Rob's over there putting too. And Tiger goes, okay, Rob, he goes, $5 closest to the tee next to the pro. And he goes, Banks, you got to get in this too. He goes, but you can't use that piece of blank 2-ball putter that Rob, he called Robin when he was kind of giving him a hard time. When Robin used, you got to use my putter. I should have taken a picture of that, right? So Tiger putts, of course, like this from 50 feet. Rob putts it like 15 feet short and to the right. And Banks, at the time, was putting cross-handed. He since went back to conventional, just a little trying it. And so he grabs it cross-handed. Tiger slaps him on the shoulder and goes, Banks, what are you doing? He's like, he turns white. He's like... He goes, he goes, nobody's ever used my putter with a cross-handed grip. And he literally, like, the blood rushes out of Banks' body. I thought, oh my God. And he just slaps him on the shoulder and said, I'm blanking with you, and let's see it. And he rolls up there to, like, right next to Tiger's ball, and he's like, Robin, you should be caddying for him, and this, and he put his arm around Banks. And it was a really cool deal. And then during the tournament was the same. Like, he found Banks, and we talked, and he all that crap on Twitter with apparently Patrick Reed's wife giving PJ a hard time for letting me caddy for him and all the other stuff. He had a good laugh about that, and then Banks played with Charlie in a tournament it had been about a year ago now, and we had a great visit, and it was pretty cool. And he was super to Banks. He called him B and Banksy all day, and Banks played really nice in front of him, and the next day didn't play very good. It was a qualifying tournament. He was upset. And I said, hey, this is a win. He goes, how's it a win? I didn't qualify. I said, you played great golf in front of the most intimidating guy to ever, definitely the most intimidating player of all time. And I said, you flourished in it, right? And you didn't play good today. I think there's probably a little emotional letdown and fatigue of kind of build up of doing that. And you'll learn from it. But you handle it. And by the way, he on the putting green that morning, he walked over while I was getting the cart and some water. So he said, hey, B, go win this thing today. And Charlie had played bad the first day and then played great the second day. And Charlie won the qualifier this year, that same one. Just recently, they had it on tee shots. The Nota Begay tournament, yeah. And I said, hey, the GOAT was calling you B and Banksy and told you to go win the thing. I said, take that for what it's worth and let that inspire you to practice. So as big a fan as I was, I'm a bigger fan now. And I'm thankful for what he's done for the game. And I'm thankful that I got to watch that unfold, in real time. But I hate what he has to go through on a daily basis. I hate it for him just personally, just to see him, because helicopters flying above the second hole. We got people in the trees behind 6, and everywhere he goes, it's the same. Yeah. And you're like, it's crazy. Wow. Mm-hmm. He's not really even a superstar. He's like a cultural icon. He's Muhammad Ali. He's Michael Jordan. For sure. He's every one of those people. Elvis Presley. I mean, it's a different deal wherever he goes. And like I said, thankful to watch him play, watch him through his career and what he's done for bringing people to the game. But man, what a tough road. It is. It's just a different deal. So
was it? I mean, when you see him hit it for the first time, and I had friends of mine send me that, the video of him teeing off on one was going round. Yeah. And I had that, and I text Reagan, and I think Reagan got the all clear maybe to go out and take photos on the back.
He did. Yeah, that's right.
Great photos.
Yeah, he did get some great photos.
I said, how is it? He goes, dude, there's people climbing the trees, the fence, like it's chaos here right now.
Nick basically walked the perimeter, and we had extra Tulsa PD just to make sure things were okay. Watch him hit it, watch him pitch. I really want to watch him pitch and putt. It's so fun to watch him do that. But golly, little like golf geeks would love this. Like on 8, he had a 3-wood, and it was really windy that day, and he hit a 3-wood, looked like an 8-iron, right, sky high, right in the middle of the green. And then on 9, because he remembered that he hit something short of the bunkers, on 9 he took a 5-wood, so more loft, and hit it like a third as high. Just this little missile. I was like, okay, wait, How do you do that?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you talk about checkers and chess. I mean, he's taking and talent. I mean, he takes a 3-wood and hits it like this up into the wind, right in the middle of the green. Takes a 5-wood like this, and even at the elite player, there's not many that can do that. No. He's just a different dude.
Yeah, and I think it's like he was kind of like the last group of era to grow up with now the ball technology now and club technology, they don't even have to, right? They can just stand there and play their game and put it in the air, and it's not going to affect it that much, right? Unless they go overseas to the Open and it's kind of like the density of the air and it's pissing down with rain, that's going to change it. But most people out here, they're hitting moon balls and they get away with it, right? And I played here in the State Am this year, and it was soft. Really soft. Yeah. And I think everyone in the field for the first 2 days struggled to keep the ball in the green, right? Like you're an 8-iron into 10 and zipping it off.
There, that's right. Yes, it's hot and it's soft, and the fairways are tight. Yeah. And you rip, and like I said, you rip an 8-iron and they're soft. That's almost tougher. I like it when it's firmer. Yeah. It's more fun to play when it's firmer, but it's actually a little bit easier to play when it's firmer.
I think so too. All right, finishing up, a couple of questions. Other than this place, what's your favorite place that you've been to of all time golf trip?
Oh.
It doesn't have to be about the golf course, just everything in general.
Well, I did get to play Augusta National with 2 members here and a group of guys. And I left on a Thursday, played Thursday afternoon, 36 Friday, and Saturday morning flew back. And that was pretty special, to say the least, and had a birdie eagle around Amen Corner on Friday.
So quick golf.
I was like, so I ran into one of the pros from Augusta a couple weeks ago, and he had joined us. One of our guys took the afternoon or the morning off and was going to play in the afternoon, and so he went with us, and he remembered it, and we were talking about that. But that's pretty fun. Any round that I got to play with my dad and my 2 brothers is special to me, and now any round that I get to play with my son is special to me as well. It's when I was growing up, my dad was the best player, obviously, and then I was oldest in Craig and then Chance, and so the match was my dad and Chance versus Craig and I, because that was kind of the way high low. So you fast forward and everybody's older. One of my favorite days, I would say, it was the Hillcrest the day after Christmas. We tried to play the day after Christmas. Awful weather, low 40s, nobody out there. The whole place is khaki. And we go out to play a match. And I mentioned earlier, my dad was maybe the most competitive person I've been really around and close to. And he was, I'm going to say he's early 60s or 65 and still working at the time. And it's gross outside. My mom's out there going to watch, and a couple of the old timers at Hillcrest kind of fell out of the grill having some coffee to come watch us, because they'd raised us, they'd help raise us. And I leaned over, Chance is hitting his tee ball, and I leaned over my dad's shoulder. I said, "Hey, Dad, it's not a big deal if you want to move up a tee." And he told me in very clear terms to mind my own business. And I was like, okay, I guess Craig, my brother's laughing, just like, holy shit, he's never going to change. And so and we go, and the golf's awful, right? Where nobody's playing any good at all, but it's never more than one up, one down the other way. And we walk off 14 tee all square. And Craig and Chance are walking. My dad's riding. My mom's riding around with him. And I look at Craig. I go, "It just got a little more quiet, didn't he?" He goes, "It's on." And all of a sudden, the golf got really good. Yeah. And everybody hit shots. And Chance had about a 10-footer to tie the match on 18. If he misses it, they lose. No, we didn't play for anything, but other than pride, just the pride. Yeah. And he looked at this thing like it was the Masters. I mean, he's got his hat curled down. He's looking at it from 3 different ways. We're like, just putt the freaking ball. And he makes it. And it was just, it was one of these deals. so that's probably, one of my favorite memories. Any of those matches were great. And now getting to go play with Banks, anything we do is pretty cool. And, he played with Banks. Chance and Banks played together last week at the Sooner Open, the big golf team fundraiser. We had an event here and I couldn't play, but so anytime we do get to, in the summer, Banks and I got to play with Craig and up in Kansas City. We went up for a concert for one of Banks' birthday presents, and we squeezed an afternoon round of golf with Uncle Craig in there. And so those are easily my favorite things in golf. The Augusta trip was cool, and I played some really neat places, but just the ones with your family is the best. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's got me thinking, like, my dad was here for my birthday a week ago, or 2 weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And it was just like, I hadn't played golf with my dad on my birthday since moving out here, right?
Yeah.
It's been 12 years.
Yeah.
And I never, randomly when we would go home, I never played that good. I played really good on this day. I had a friend of us host us at Oak Tree National, and
awesome.
He kind of said to us on the first, like, it was my buddy and his son, and then me and my dad, and it was dads against sons. And I said to the son, I was like, I don't want to play from the tips today. Like, I just want to play old tips, have a good time, and just enjoy it. And then the host, Lane, comes over and he's like, all right, I got a game for us. You guys play from the tips. We play from RTs. No strokes. And,
perfect. Yeah.
So going on
that's a beating of the tips over there. That'll beat you up pretty good.
Stand on that new first tee, and we teed off at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and the first tee is like basically in the pro shop now, right?
In the pro shop, basically. Yeah. No warm up because the range was they were doing something to the range. But I somehow managed to play good, which was really nice.
That's awesome.
Back to it, right? Golf, with a family, right? With just like, you play golf till you die, and my granddad. My earliest memories of playing golf. My first golf club I ever had was given to me by my granddad, and I still have it. It's in my office in Oklahoma City, and it's it's a wooden shafted 5-iron.
It's awesome.
It's got dots in the face,
and you'll never ever forget it. It's like if you have a family heirloom, it's that, right?
Yeah. It's one of the greatest sports in the world, and I encourage everybody to pick it up.
100%.
It's even if it's just chipping stones in your backyard. Just start somewhere. But Cary, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. No, I've enjoyed the time, and nice to meet a fellow golf junkie like you. Oh yeah. Definitely. For people listening, thank you so much for listening. And if you get the chance to play Southern Hills, stop by, shake Mr. Cozby's hand, come and say hello. I look forward to seeing you on the first tee. That's hopefully do that one time. And thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode. Cheers. Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.